talking about Black Myth Wukong, baby. I'm playing it on stream, right? Where's the link? Click the link. Click the link in the description. It'll be right here. Click the link. Click the link, bitch. Click the link. Click it. Click it, motherfucker. Click it now. Click it, you giant pussy. I'm playing. Black Myth Wukong is fucking fun. And yo, we talking about it. Some Phil DeFranco news. Let's get it.
We gotta talk about all the hype and the heated controversy around Black Myth Wukong, right? Because if you haven't heard, it's...
See, when I hear hype and controversy, a friend of mine's told me there might be some controversy with this game. So it's basically China, the government, set of rules that, yo, if I could show the documents, here are like these weird documents that they had, and to me it was weird, but they're basically saying you can't talk about China negatively as playing this game. No feminist propaganda, no diversity, China's gaming spheres, weird shit like that. It's interesting, but I think it's just because of their government and their government kind of being a little more like uptight about games. You know, China's not the only, China is like baby communist right now. Like they still doing communist things, but the ultimate communist place on this planet still to this day is North Korea. Let's continue.
Considered China's first ever AAA video game, and it is taking the industry by storm. Because while China has definitely dominated the mobile game market for a while now, we've really yet to see them break into consoles and PCs with a heavy hitter of its own. So Black Myth Wukong, developed by Game Science, which is backed by the country's biggest publisher, Tencent, is that game. Now, as far as the content goes, it's an action role-playing adventure loosely inspired by the 16th century Chinese classical
epic. This is spoiling shit for me because I didn't get this far. I didn't get this far yet. I know the game has summons though, but I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Bro, there's a spider in this game. There's a spider in this game, bro.
Journey to the West. And so you play as a magical ape that can shapeshift into other animals and human-like characters, fight monsters, and search for all 6 relics of Wukong, the Monkey King. Right, naturally, the lead up to this game was met with tons of excitement inside China itself. One Weibo user speaking for many when they wrote, "You've ridden horses in the American West, been a pirate in Europe, a soldier on foreign battlefields, and an assassin in Egypt. Now you can finally return to your homeland and be your own hero."
Bars! What? Bars! Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that I like the fact that game journalism like that. He was like, look, bro, I've Red Dead Redemption, Assassin's Creed, a Greek god in a foreign land, a samurai, Japan, Ghost of Tsushima, and now I'm back home in China with the Sung Wukong, nigga, the Monkey King, the man who became Buddha. Let's go. I fuck with that. I get what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like you play. I don't know. It's like you play a true blue Marvel open world game. Like, it's a Marvel game. It's true blue, right? It's got the graphics of Sung Wukong. It's got the graphics of Marvel Spider-Man, Black Wukong, and you can play as any superhero but you have to unlock it first. First you play as Spider-Man, then you gotta play as Luke Cage. It's like me being New Yorker playing all my favorite superheroes in New York City. Then I can, after beating Luke Cage, Iron Fist levels, imagine Marvel created a game like that would be beautiful. Or playing Wolverine, just coming back to those characters and those things. Now, I love how he's like, yo, I got stories of my land. And, you know, being someone who's black, having ancestry from Africa, I could imagine there's a game out there that tells true stories to African mythology and to these African gods. And imagine a game comes out, you get to play as a protagonist from that game, and it kind of inspires you. So I like the way he wrote this was inspirational to the Chinese aspect of Journey to the West and the inspiration of like, yo, I'm touching back home, technically.
Pre-sales since June, bringing in nearly $60 million. Hashtags about the game getting over 2 billion views on Weibo alone. And then when the game actually launched yesterday, it was even more of a smash hit than expected, with it topping worldwide sales charts on Steam within hours of its release. And at its peak on Wednesday, it boasted 2.2 million concurrent players, more than any other game on the platform. I mean, that surpassed even Cyberpunk 2077 to become Steam's most played single-player game.
Damn, Cyberpunk! But Cyberpunk also came out with like bugs and shit, and nobody really cared about that. Like, the the fuck out of here.
Ever. And none of that even counts the sales from PlayStation, Wii Game, or the Epic Games Store. Now with this, while there have been reports of some major bugs and technical issues, including frequent crashes, which the developer says it'll fix in upcoming.
The game I got beat by a boss and then the camera got stuck in the fucking tree. I don't know if I need to upgrade my PS5 or get a SSD or whatever the fuck, because that shit was wild.
Patches, the game has mostly gotten very good reviews, with some, like creator Asmongold, even going as far as to say,
this game's amazing. At this point, I think that it's a 9 to a 9.5, and the only reason that it's not higher is that I wish it had more open world exploration because of how good the game is. I'm actually
the game's open enough, but there's not enough open world exploration, because I'm already feeling that, and I already feel like the areas are big, but they're kind of small. Like, Stellar Blade was so... I'm still playing it! It's so... I'm taking my time with Stellar Blade. I was playing it on stream. Also, go click that. There's so much open world with that game. Like, this game is so vastly open, bitch. Like, what am I doing here, bitch? Like, what's going on? Sun Wukong and this game, Black Myth, could have been the same thing. I don't think they wanted it to be too much open world to take you away from the storytelling, the fighting, the boss battle, stuff like that. So I do get him.
shocked at how good this game is. Best game of the year? What other game would be game of the year if not this game?
But also, Black Myth Wukong is notable for more reasons than just its success. Right? It also marks a historical breakthrough for China's efforts to push back against Euro-American dominance over the global entertainment industry and export its own culture to the rest of the world. And with this, we've seen the CCP throwing its weight behind the game, with the state news agency interviewing its developer and writing in an editorial. With this breakthrough, the default language of a AAA game is no longer English, but Chinese, as well as a state-run broadcaster adding, Chinese players in the past have gone through this process of cross-cultural understanding. Now is the turn of overseas players to learn and understand Chinese traditional culture.
Now, I'm gonna stop you there. Is this understanding Chinese traditional culture? Or because this is a video game version of Chinese traditional culture, how much of your culture is in this game is to be kind of skewed, right? Because I played Ghost of Tsushima. That felt so much ingrained into Japanese culture than anything I ever played, right? When you look at Assassin's Creed getting hate by so-called Japanese people, just because you got a black man in there, it still isn't honoring their culture, but you're also playing as one character who's black, right? When it comes to this game and you're in their culture, how much of your culture is there? How much is being, really, really cemented? This is the same people who didn't want their kids playing games for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of iffy about that part because I'm playing the game and I get the cultural understandings with the quotes and the haikus, but I understand their quotes and what they're saying. But does it really lay out your whole tradition? Well, maybe, hopefully.
Is surprising given how hostile the CCP has been toward gaming as a whole over the past several years. Right? I mean, in an effort to clamp down on video game addiction and in-game gambling, the government's tightly regulated the industry by withholding license.
Really? Yeah, when to stop in-game gambling? You have tons of fucking gacha games.
And delaying permits for commercial exploitation. As well as in 2021, they banned minors from gaming for more than 3 hours a week, requiring developers to implement age verification measures.
I'm like, obviously, minors like what? If you 13 and you're not in your 20s, if you're not up there in age, but they can always find ways to get past that. Kids are not dumb.
So the success of Black Myth Wukong may be a sign that the government's now loosening its grip and letting the industry start to flourish. But that doesn't mean that its grip is loosening over all aspects of the industry. Right? Because in the past few days, some high-profile reviewers, even those outside of China, have complained of censorship, with news outlets obtaining a Google Doc provided to them by Hero Games, the Chinese company responsible for Black Myth Wukong's marketing, which outlines do's and don'ts. And this including stuff like using, quote, trigger words such as quarantine, isolation, and COVID-19.
Because, you know why they did that, right? It's basically because this is a fact. This is not something that's made up. The COVID-19 virus, the Wuhan flu, came from the Wuhan district, which was like a meat area district where you could find all the type of exotic meat from around the world in China, right? So that market was the first spot where the coronavirus happened, and then that spread around the world, spread over China, spread around the world. China technically got blamed for this happening. Everybody technically was blaming China, and China was pissed the fuck off, but China also was able to mitigate it and stop it for them. Almost like probably like a whole year in, they were able to kind of like get rid of it for them. In the US, it was harder for us because people are dickheads and don't want to wear masks and they assholes and it's all this bullshit. But if China was able to cooperate and kind of like get it mitigated, because even though they spreaded it, that's probably why. They're like, hey, we want to make sure nobody talks about us negatively because, yeah, we're the reason for the pandemic technically. And I get that. It's just looks bad on them in the first place. And I get it. They don't want to be seen as the bad guy. Nobody does. But I get what they're saying is like they want to mitigate that kind of talking. I get it.
As well as discussing politics, quote, feminist propaganda, and other content that instigates negative discourse. And finally here, no discussion of China's gaming industry policies. And so in response to this,
see, you can't do that. A lot of people are going to say it from how it is. China's got a weird gaming industry type of policies. That include politics, violence, nudity, feminism, propaganda, fetishization, and other contents, insights, negative discourse. See, that's weird because video games are about negative. Video games bring negative discourse all the time. Video games sexualize characters all the time. What are you talking about? Negative? That's always in the video game. Either positive or negative, these games will fuel emotions. This game is wonderful and amazing to experience, but the emotion after that is going to be like, hey, fuck this country still, even though they came out with this one game by Tencent. Which, if you play the game, they really got some really funny factors in there. But let's continue.
of course, you had a bunch of reactions with most people outraged, but not surprised since, you know, it's from China. So here, going back to Asmongold, he had more of a nuanced take, blaming the country, not the company.
It's actually just so they're compliant with the Chinese government and they don't get the Chinese government on their ass because they're afraid of the government coming in there and basically their shit up. You can complain that the country is oppressive or it's not fair or it shouldn't be like this, but at the end of the day, the reason why they're doing this,
you can't talk about Taiwan, that's weird,
is because of that country and not necessarily anything else.
Now, I do get what he's saying. I do get that. I do.
And then, coming at this from a way different angle, some more right-leaning people actually supported the censorship and painted it as a reasonable defense against wokeness. But then the controversy doesn't end there either, right? Because even before this whole censorship thing, Black Myth Wukong's developer Game Science got hammered for months by accusations of sexism, with IGN publishing an investigation back in November that found several social media posts by one of its co-founders that included sexual innuendos.
A friend of mine's told me that the company itself is pretty fucked up against women and people and stuff like that. And I wasn't sure if that was true, and I think this is what he was referring to. Let's see what's up.
Right in this, after the first teaser for the game, with him writing things like, I want to expand my circle and hire more people, get licked until I can't get an erection. And quote, it
What?
is my honor to provide you with some comfort in the lower half of your body, as well as quote, I got wet.
Basically give you some type of stimulation, I guess. It's like a weird translation.
After watching it a couple of times, the pressure in my crotch is immense.
I get wet after watching the trailer a couple times. The pressure on my crotch is immense. Okay, that's funny, but all right.
Many have reacted to those quotes by disputing the accuracy of the translations and arguing that they may be vulgar, but they're not sexist. But there you have the article going on to detail other evidence of what it calls a culture of sexism in game science and the industry at large, including videos and recruitment posters with crude sexual themes. With, for example, a lead artist and co-founder opining on Weibo about how games made for women and men are completely different due to their biological differences, explaining that they need to put on silk stockings and suspenders to work, brew chrysanthemum tea, and put a humidifier on his table to make soft and effeminate things. And as far as I can tell, Game Science has refused to comment on these reports when asked about them by media outlets.
Because they won't do it. Listen, Asmongold had a point. One, it's the government. It technically ain't, the gaming studio has to do this because They want to make games, they gonna have to just cooperate with the government because it's China. China will fuck you in your ass. Personally, it just is what it is, right? No offense to China, no offense to their government. Niggas is just really hardcore about their morals and values and shit. They don't got guns in China, but they got people out there stabbing kids and shit going to school. So I get it personally, I understand that. When it comes to anything else, you know, about the whole sexual shit about men and women, how games are made differently. Yeah, but that is a little weird because women I know chicks nowadays that like the God of War franchise, other games I've grown up with. So I'm like, okay, cool. You were there, not with me in the room, but you were there in that same room, same way as I, playing these games, loving these games. So there's a connection there. I feel like with game science, they have to cooperate with the Chinese government, and they're not going to respond to these because if they respond, it just fuels the backlash and criticism because they can get more of it and more of it and more of it. And they know if we respond, it's just going to lead to a cycle of more shit happening. So let's not even do it.
So notably, that hasn't stopped others from coming to its defense, including, once again, Asmongold.
You can see how this person is trying desperately to avoid a defamation lawsuit, plagued by claims of sexism. Some in the games community, many of whom are women, in the eyes of many female gamers. This is the most retarded article I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, the article could be very biased. And that's an IGN article. They have to say all of this specifically not to get fucking sued. Because once again, it's IGN. Now, if the games industry has claims of these sexism and all these things, cool. But there's tons of games that China's come out with and tons of games that other gaming companies have come out with that are suited for boys and girls. It's not just girls and boys. I think the games connect to everybody.
But accusations aside, controversy or not, Black Myth Wukong is clearly going to make a hell of a lot of money and make a huge global cultural impact. And notably there, Game Science has made clear this is hopefully the first of many more games. So it's going to be very interesting to see from here, one, the success of this game, let's say a month, 3 months from now, as well as two, what China has to offer the gaming world from here.
My thoughts about this, and I'm going to be real here, I don't think Game Science is a bad company, unless they come out to be a bad company. That's different. We got to wait and see about that. But when it comes to most of this, I do say one thing. And maybe you might agree or disagree with me on this. It's a video game that's good. It's a video game that has nothing negative besides this one little IGN article. Other than that, you can't even prove if that's true. Now, if the gaming company itself is just listening to China's politics and having to agree with its government, that's just because they know the power of the CCP and the power of their government and the power of getting slapped on that butt and losing everything. So they don't want to piss off anybody. They want to make, and China seeing how much money this has made also turns the cheek because China is definitely fake communist. It's a fake communist country. It needs capitalism, and they've built tons and tons of cities that are empty as fuck without people in them. This is still a capitalistic type of area. They want the money, and seeing what money this has generated makes China look at it and say, oh, wait, hold on, let's, if they made this game and it was popping and beautiful and it sold in America and sold across the world, let's get more games out there. That's what I see happening. I see China looking at this as cash cow profit, fucking dollar signs. They're not even caring about, they have to care about the politics side, the government does. But if the government sees how much money this brought in for their country, they're going to be like, well, you could show a little something, if we made that much money, if they do it again. And Game Science said, more games to come. Hopefully, just like Black Myth, or even better, I want to see what other games they got. You know what I'm saying? Maybe open world, maybe not first person shooter, third person, whatever. Maybe a shooter, whatever they got coming. Hopefully it's badass. And maybe with a badass female protagonist, just because you want to just throw that out there for the rest of the audience. But let me know what you think in the comments below. It's your boy Fat Man. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, be notified. And remember to never give up, never surrender, keep on grinding. Peace. Thank you for coming and not holding back. We out.
Shit.
Getting bit on drum.
You
little niggas gonna stop acting like my shit ain't the grill.
Where's the last
Some of you niggas get your front teeth for grills. And I ain't talking about the contract.
I ain't loving these fake hoes. Room smelling like 8 switches. Room service like 2K. NBA, I'm ballin', nigga. All them niggas fallin' like all them niggas. Talking shit, I saw them niggas. Now they daughter want a picture. Rough, ain't it? Fuck famous.
Yeah, man.
Niggas too real, got the most haters. Wrote a story, so Stephen Curry. How it feel to be golden.